Okay, Kate, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Make A Mixtape.
Thank you so much for having me.
The first thing that we do is, just like introduce yourself and talk about you and like what you are and what you do.
What I am?
Un peu citron. Oui, madame. Très bien, madame. All very well if you're by yourself. You need numbers to get by. 1 to 5.
Yeah, okay, yes. I'm Kate Constantine. I'm the community engagement manager at Gather, which is one of the oldest nonprofit organizations in the nation. Fun fact, but we're based here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Our mission is to build food security through innovative programs in welcoming and dignified ways. We provide nutritious food to anyone who needs it in a very low barrier, high dignified settings. And I do marketing communications, I do events, I do development. I think last time you and I chatted, you were like, your job is a lot of job. And
yeah, there's like 12 people at my job who do that job.
Yes, so it kind of is, but in my spare time, I love attending live music. I love reading. I love spending time with friends and family. I grew up on the seacoast. I'm from Elliott originally, and I currently live in Dover. Shout out to Dirty Dover.
We love Dover.
And we love Dover. And yeah, so it's good to be back on the seacoast. I was in Boston for a little bit, and it's nice meeting new people who are either that I've known forever and now can be acclimated to in an adult/professional setting, or brand new people such as the person sitting across from me at this table right now. But yeah, that's what I do. A lot of my passion revolves around culture, community, and food.
That's funny. This is a thing you just identified that should be like an indie movie where you move back closer to home. It should be called like Closer to Home, where you move back like to an area that's like closer to home, and you have this kind of like your network sort of reforms. And there's even people that maybe you knew that you were like not necessarily even friends with growing up, but they were around, who suddenly become very connected to you, whether due to, jobs or a mutual interest or something. It's an interesting phase in life.
Yeah, no, all of my close circle of friends now is all people I went to high school with that I really never spent any time with. Well, not all that I went to high school with, but you know what I mean? We all grew up in this area, and now through mutual friends, people, mostly the local music scene in my circumstances, like we've all reconnected. I know, maybe more of a Hallmark movie, like big city corporate executive hates Christmas, moves back to the small town.
But there's just one British guy.
There's just one British guy. Oh no, the prince or the duke got trapped in the inn, and what am I gonna do? Because he has a heart of gold, and I'm just an icy cold nonprofit executive.
Nonprofit executive, yeah. They don't those movies are too complicated. But they're not really. It's like if you ever watch one of those movies, the plot description is as long as the dialogue in the movie that explains that stuff, and it never comes up again. So I wonder why that is. If it's like a SEO thing, like they just kind of they overcomplicate the description of like what is just a very pleasant and you can pay half attention to it movie.
Yeah, it is literally SEOs. People want to identify. Okay, Feelgood, Lumberjack, Christmastime, small town. Whereas if you're looking for an indie horror film, the description's gonna be like really scary, and you're like, okay, cool, awesome, I'll go watch that. A lot of horror films coming out recently, they're all trying to be the same kind of elevated, eerie, creepy film, and they're all trying to market themselves as like the scariest thing you've ever seen, and then it winds up being kind of just a normal plot twist. Like that movie Longlegs was very much marketed as the scariest movie you'll ever see, and it's just Silence of the Lambs, but like in a different font with Nicolas Cage instead of Sir Anthony Hopkins.
I kept thinking that I was like, I feel like a huge reason that Longlegs is becoming like a viral sensation is like great font, good title, and I just saw when I saw the poster, like the red font, Longlegs, one word, I was like, yeah, that works.
Yeah, he really loves glam rock and T-Rex, so the soundtrack is really great. So I was kind of covering my eyes, but then shaking my shoulders.
The thing I always remember about the band T-Rex that always is kind of strange to me. It's like, I think I read it in like a Chuck Klosterman book, was that Mark Bolan was like obviously obsessed with cars. A lot of songs are about like cars and stuff. Could not drive, never learned to drive, but died in a car accident.
Oh my God.
And it's like, so like this thing that he was so interested in, but could never really attain, like killed him. You know, it's very, you know, it's sort of, it's like a weird rock and roll legend.
When did he die? Do you know?
I don't know. No.
I wonder if he ever lived to see David Cronenberg's Crash.
I wonder.
He would have loved that movie.
Hey, where the bay at? Shouts out to JM. Looking for the party girls, let me know where they at. Throw a house party like cool, where you stay at.
I think we'll actually talk about this when we talk about The Clash in a little bit.
Yeah.
But there are certain bands where I have a hard time sonically placing the time period, and it's getting harder now because a lot of artists create this kind of like fake retro sound, and they've gotten really good at it, where you're like, oh wow, I've just discovered this like soul singer from the 70s. You're like, this album came out in 2016.
Yeah.
This guy is 32.
Yeah, that's Leon Bridges.
Yeah.
I mean, we might even talk about it when we talk about the B-52s, but there's so many decades where they're like, everything that comes out now is going to be a resurgence of rockabilly, like the Cramps. I mean, there's a ton of punk singers from the 80s to 90s that are like, what if actually the most punk thing I could do was to sing a little ditty about going on down to the soda shop? And you're like, okay.
There's like a path. I think there's a book that's written about poetry that sort of traces the path that
Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur.
it's like no, it's like called, I forget what it's called, but it's called The Anxiety of Influence by Harold Bloom, by the way. There's literally an episode of this podcast named after it. It's about like this kind of path that artists take throughout the course of their career. And that like you go through this period of kind of like reflecting your idols. You go through this period of like rejecting your idols. You have these different periods of experimentation. And then most of the time, if you continue to record for a long time or write poetry for a long time, you kind of circle all the way back to like the core elements of what you do. So like Bob Dylan releasing like a triple disc album of Frank Sinatra covers is like him completing the cycle. And so now he can just do whatever he wants. He can release a rap album if he wants. But that path I always find interesting to like, I don't know, to think about different artists who've been around for a long time and go like, all right, so where are they? What are they trying to say now? Because they've already said the main thing. So like, what are all the like side quests they're going to go on for the rest of their career, basically?
Yeah. Well, last night I just saw Angel Olsen, who basically was doing a tour, a solo acoustic tour. Not acoustic, she had an electric guitar, but it felt like an acoustic tour, where she just said, you know what? I don't want to release a new album. I want to just go on tour and sing a bunch of songs from my old stuff that I haven't sung in a while that I miss singing. And it was awesome. But I think a lot of musicians just regenerate either to the trend cycle, whatever the trend cycle is, like, oh, we're taking a lot of inspiration from, the 30s or whatnot, or I'm literally going back to the origin of my career and going, how did I get so successful? And how did I get back to this point here? And why do I love those songs so much? And why are they so integral to who I am as a musician?
Angel Olsen is a huge pioneer in the maybe I don't need to record anything like world of music, where it's like she'll release like an album of demos, or she'll put out a whole album and then she'll be like, here are the demos. Here's a whole other album of the same songs from the album that are a little bit different. Yeah. And I feel like she in this generation was like the first to that field. And then St. Vincent was like, oh, I will also do that. Mm-hmm. She just announced she's releasing her most recent album again in Spanish.
In Spanish, yes. I saw that. New. Yeah, I actually, what is even the name of her new album? Something about
All Born Screaming.
All Born Screaming, yeah. Which is great. And I feel like she's back.
I agree. Yes.
Daddy's Home I wanted to like so much.
I feel the same way. I had a hard time with that album. Yeah. Part of me thinks that like sometimes if an artist that you really like, this just happened to me with Bright Eyes. If an artist that you like puts out an album that you're like, this is not good.
Yeah.
Then the first thing I do is I just go like, I'm going to put this away immediately. Like I'm going to literally forget this exists.
Yeah.
and I'm going to put it away and not think about it at all. And maybe I will come back to it and it will speak to me later. And there are a few albums that are still like back there for me. And Daddy's Home is one where I'm like, in the fullness of time of Annie Clark's career, I might understand this album better. Like I might like it more when I see what she learned from that in later music.
I think, and actually going back to to glam rock, she put out a playlist before Daddy's Home came out, and it was all, I mean, it was T-Rex, it was some old Bowie, and it was really, she was taking inspiration. She was doing kind of the, lounge singer thing, like, she's becoming a Alex Turner, but, and then it just, I don't know, it just fell so flat for me. It was like, I think she's there, but it's like she's 10 rooms away.
Where your bitch faithful, she sent her location. I hit her at the trap indicator, she baseline. Chop with the laser, get decapitated. Can't smoke, I'm on papers, hold on, this my Jamaica. Love one.
In love, sageless, the winter never comes.
All right, well, let's talk about some music.
Okay, why not?
Let's start here. Let's start our mixtape with a song that reminds you of your childhood. Private Idaho, the B-52s. Talk to me about your relationship with the B-52s.
A loving, gracious one. There's the dog that just
Big
went
dog
by the
just
window.
walked
That,
by, yeah.
that was very distracting. But yes, I love the B-52s. I listened to a few episodes of your podcast, and the recurring theme was like, for this question, was songs you listened to in the car growing up. And we had a best of B-52s compilation in the old Ford Freestar. I don't even know if they make those anymore. Ford minivan. And it was just, it was fun. I think as a kid, listening to those, listening to the kind of in dialogue between all the songs is really fun. It's like, obviously they're taking from rockabilly and it's very camp, but they're kind of, as a kid, you feel like it's like listening to the Wiggles or soundtrack or something.
Absolutely.
And then as an adult, I get to appreciate it more. Also, one of the lead singers' names is Kate, and in the song 52 Girls, they yell out names and they go, Kate, Cindy, and yeah, I think my Private Idaho I picked specifically because my mom and I did make a dance to it. It involved a lot of pointing.
That makes sense.
You're living in your own Private Idaho.
Yeah, it's a very
Your own
pointy.
Private Idaho.
Like when you picture, is it Dan Schneider? What's the lead singer's name of
Not
the
Dan Schneider.
male?
Wait, that's gonna drive me crazy. Oh,
Well, John B-52. When you hear him, you just picture
Mr. 52.
First of all, I always pictured Gilbert Gottfried when I was a kid because I just thought, and he kind of does. They don't look dissimilar.
Yeah.
But it's like the similar kind of voice. But you just picture him making a lot of gestures while he's singing.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you that it sounds like kids' music. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with the B-52s and had no sense of their broader musical context.
Yeah, There Might Be Giants is very similar to that.
Yes.
Too. And I mean, they have put out children's albums, but I think, and then the B-52s, I think, really informed a lot of musical genres that I love. Like my mom introduced me to Blondie very early on. I love Debbie Harry, but I love fun pop music that is, I mean, how do you even describe? I mean, it's like, because Debbie Harry performed at CBGB, like she is a punk musician, but her songs are considered to be like so bubblegum and fun because, like, I don't know, she wants people to dance. And like the Cramps as well, I think also are, obviously incredibly inspired by rockabilly and very satirical in ways. I mean, like albums called like Look Mama No Head, Can Your Pussy Do the Dog, like, just fun.
Great titles.
The peak of culture. But we actually saw the B-52s play at Tanglewood with the Boston Pops. I was on some college tours and we were in Western Massachusetts. And my mom and I were like, oh, we're going. And we got some lawn seats. Have you ever been to Tanglewood?
No.
You should go. You should take the kids. It's very fun. And then you get to look out over the mountains in the Berkshires. It's stunning. But they were doing basically an 80s night where the Boston Pops were covering a bunch of John Williams soundtracks from the 80s, like they did the E.T. score.
Yeah.
And then the B-52s came on. did some of their greatest hits. And I had a B-52s t-shirt that I still own, that I stole from my mom. If my mom is listening, I will eventually give it back to her, along with that first B-52s album that I also stole. But I was wearing that shirt, and I was, one of the younger people there. And the woman at the gate, I went back to my car to get a book or something. And the woman at the gate goes, "Are you here by yourself? Like, who are you with?" And I said, "Oh, I'm here with my mom. We, grew up listening to the B-52s, whatever. She's a big 80s girl." And she goes, "Hold on." And she comes out with 2 front row tickets. And she was like, "You guys have fun. They told me to give these to 2 people that really deserve it." So I got to go up front, and it was amazing. Awesome. And they were in wigs, and they were, even though it was a full orchestra back there, like it could have been a completely electric set. It was awesome energy. And I've never seen a group of preppies from the Berkshires flood the front of a stage so quickly as when Rock Lobster came on. It was pretty incredible.
It's so funny to me that so Rock Lobster was a song that I didn't really realize was like a big hit. Like they performed it on Saturday Night Live and everything. Because I remember being like, we listened to a lot of Love Shack in my house, and I remember my sister finding Rock Lobster like later, like in the early like LimeWire Napster days, and we thought we'd found some like crazy B-52s B-side that was like, we were like, listen to this one.
It's
this
the 3rd
so
track
insane.
on the first album.
I know, but it's like you don't know what, because it's just your parents' cassette tape, right? So
Right.
you don't know what else is on there.
Right.
You don't know what they're skipping. So
Yeah.
So tell me more about, all right, paint me more of a picture of your childhood then, other than driving around listening to Blondie and the B-52s. Obviously, it was taking place around here in New England.
Yes. I grew up next to a dairy farm in Elliott. We ran so my mom used to groom, breed, and show dogs, Springer Spaniels. And so we lived in a house in Elliott right next to a dairy farm. We would frequently have the cows would come from next door, jump into our pond that we had in the backyard, get stuck there, or cross into traffic. We lived like very close to 236, and the cops would come banging on our door thinking that we were the farmers.
Oh, yeah.
And be like, "Your cows are in the road." And we have to be like, "No, the farmer's down the street." But we had a lot of dogs growing up. We would have, a litter of puppies, and then we would have our own dogs, and then we would be boarding dogs because we ran a kennel, and then we would have dogs that we were grooming. So we would have upwards of like 20 to 30 dogs in the house at a time.
Wow.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, growing up around animals and, really informed my compassion and stuff, I guess. But also grew up around a couple parents that are super into media, music, films, and also like big news junkies. Like my dad had a TV in the kitchen, so when he was cooking, he could watch MSNBC or C-SPAN or whatnot. There's actually a story about the night I was born. I can't remember if I told you this, but I'm telling the podcast. I was born in 1998. Bill Clinton was president in 1998, and for those of you who don't know, Bill Clinton was about to be impeached by the House of Representatives, or they were filing for articles of impeachment, and they were filing those articles the night I was born, December of 1998, and my dad was downstairs watching C-SPAN, ironing his khakis, and my mom was like, "I'm going into labor." And he was like, "Not now, the president's about to be." He's like, I gotta watch out for Bill and iron these khakis.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was destined to go into political science, I guess. But great childhood growing up in Maine around dogs and cows and funny enough, I hate nature. I'm not an outdoorsy girl, but like I love dogs and walking them. I just do not put me on a hiking trail because I will get lost.
I got your bitch looking for flipper. I let her ride like a bicycle. I pulled out and bust on her dimples. $250,000 for this Richard. I had to run up the digits. Niggas know that I'm the sickest. Bitches know that I'm the littest. Yeah.
So, all right. B-52s. Yes. Oh, the only other thing I thought about B-52s was that I think I can trace the B-52s to like an early sense of my own, like tolerance and understanding of people of like all different identities.
Yeah.
Because my grandmother's 60th birthday party, which was like almost 30 years ago, I'm not going to dox my grandmother on the podcast, but it was a long time ago. It was in downtown Portsmouth. I was very young. It was a restaurant where my grandmother and my uncle both worked, and they basically just like took over the restaurant one evening and had like a big dance party. I remember all of this so vividly because I remember like going through my uncle's like vinyl records crates, and we were like picking out songs we were going to play which is like what an awesome thing for like an 11-year-old kid to be able to do, just be like go through these records. And I remember Love Shack being a huge one there. And at or around that time, my grandmother introduced me to her friend Francine and very gleefully told me like, she used to be Frank. And it was my first experience with that. And it was presented to me as like, how delightful.
Chill. Yeah.
Right?
Love.
And so I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Like, and that was my first experience, you know, knowing that was something that happened.
Well, and you know who was in the Love Shack video was RuPaul.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of the first, I think the first drag queen to ever appear on MTV, if I can recall that, because Love Shack was on, I'm trying to remember which B-52's albums, but it was on MTV at the time. Remember it?
I do.
But yeah, that's fun. That's funny actually that very much goes full circle because they're all from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oui, monsieur. 2 thé, 3 cafés.
All right, let's talk about a song you consider to be an all-time favorite. Let's talk about The Clash.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you picked Clampdown.
I
Great
picked
song.
Clampdown. I could have picked any Clash song really. I'm very much an album-driven person, so this assignment was not hard, but it's just, I think everything that's on this list, I also recommend the whole album because I will listen to an album front to finish as the kind of project that it is. And a lot of people find that weird. Like I'll be in the car with a friend and they're like, oh, we just heard this song. And I'm like, no. They're like, well, this is the same artist. Like, well, no, it's not a playlist, it's an album. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you pick something else? Because I like this. Anyways. Yeah, but Clampdown, last song on London Calling, I'm pretty sure. But Clampdown I picked specifically because it's really an all-time favorite. Like, this was also a song that I listened to a lot with my mom, which is funny to think of my mom being such a huge Clash fan and introducing me to Clash because was like such a preppy, especially in the 80s. So I picture my mom being like, you know, in Pretty in Pink when Andrew McCarthy's character goes to, Molly Ringwald takes him to like the punk club or like the new wave club, and that guy comes up to him and he's in like the perfectly stark like Izod shirt and linen pants. He's like, did your mom make you that shirt? And he's like, yeah, lame, right? I picture that being my mom in in the 80s. But I mean, yeah, the Clash really, I think there's such a, you know, people can draw the history of punk, like, you know, whether or not like you're gonna, you know, obviously Velvet Underground, Stooges, like so many inspirations. But for me, I think the Clash and that element of the London punk scene really kind of defines like the cultural and political ramifications of the genre. Like I had a related but slightly not related a tangent. Like I was ranting to someone, probably my brother, about how I hate ska. And, you know, maybe because growing up in college outside of Boston, everyone would be like, you want to go see my ska show? I'd be like, no. And then my brother was like, Kate, I don't believe that you hate ska. Your favorite band is The Clash. Because if you listen to any Clash song, they take so much inspiration from reggae. And I was reading Chrissy Hines, who the lead singer of The Pretenders, who used to live with Mick Jones, who then when she moved out of that apartment with Mick Jones' new roommate was this guy, Joe Strummer. And then, you know, and then history was made. They started The Clash. But she was talking about how like everyone in that scene would all go to the reggae clubs. And like that was such a huge inspiration for, because there was a huge Jamaican population around like Camden Town in London. Not to be like, listen to these white boys singing reggae, but like I think understanding like the baseline of why reggae is so influential as a genre, and why like the foundations of, even just in terms of bass, right? Like every song has a kind of a 1-2, a dun 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 dun, and that can build into so much. And well, Clamp Down specifically, it's a song that, you know, I used to just be on. I used to just dance to it with my mom, and the more I listen to it, I'm like, oh, this song rules. Like, I read an interview with Mick Jones recently where he said that the working title for the song was, can I curse on the show?
Yeah.
Okay. The working title for the show, for the song was For Fuck's Sake. Because basically it's just about having to be a working class member of society under capitalism, specifically like British capitalism in the 80s, like under Thatcherism. And I was like, oh, that's what Clamp Down means. Because I don't know, I like never paid attention to lyrics, but yeah, a lot of their music is so satirical. It's also very direct. It's all I mean, one of their first singles is I'm So Bored of the USA. Like, it's very, I don't know, just the ramifications of living under capitalism and having to work every day of your life and not seeing any progress, and, you know, food and housing prices going up so substantially. And I've been thinking a lot about The Clash and how, like, okay, yeah, if Joe Strummer was still around, he'd be like, I've been singing about this stuff for forever, and still, you know, people don't look out for the working man.
We ain't gon' fall off our hoes. Man said get them lows. We let them go for the low. I got my hood in control. I got my left wrist on froze. I got my right wrist on froze. I got my necklace on froze. Both of my ears on froze. I been getting faded, I'm sipping on maple. If she won't fuck, I won't make her. I don't like fishes with maple. If she want titties, I pay for. Get out of there when I wake up. I pass the bar, I don't lay up. I'm a big boss, I got say so. That what you done if I say so. Dracos on Dracos on Dracos on Dracos.
All right, so let's talk about a song you're listening to a lot right now. This is Flowering by Doug. I had never heard this band before.
Yes, this is a local band. Doug, it's also Doug lowercase with a period.
With a period, yes.
There's some other bands out there also called Doug. Actually, there's other bands on Spotify that are also Doug all lowercase with a period, which is very confusing to me. But yeah, this is a local band, and they're some of my favorite people. I saw them back in, I'm trying to remember now, maybe in 2022, around the time I moved back here, and saw them at a show at SCA, and they are one of the best bands I've seen live. So tight, but also they are doing something that is just feels just very quintessentially New Hampshire, if that makes sense. Like, it's a really kind of New Hampshire hardcore. They take a lot of inspiration from Scissor Fight. I can hear that a lot, and some like desert rock, stoner metal, but also like really high energy. And they sing a lot about living in this community, and they've really kind of inspired a lot of local musicians and have been the glue that keeps this local scene together. And I have a personal stake in it because they're my friends, but they're fantastic. And
that's kind of what you're supposed to do with this part of the mixtape.
Yeah.
So I'm glad.
I'm absolutely gonna give them the hype that they deserve, but also because I've been wanting a band like this for a while. And so when I actually saw them for the first time, I was like, oh, that's it, because they have the hardcore energy, but they're not afraid to get really experimental with bass, and their drummer is absolutely insane. And this is another case of, I saw them so frequently live. So when they came out with this album last month, back in August, I was like, oh, I didn't even know you were doing that. So there's this on Flowering, the riff that Evan does in the beginning is insane, but I never really heard it, just because, you know, typically if I'm seeing them at a venue around here, it's small. I have my earplugs in.
Yeah.
Everyone, Public service announcement, wear your earplugs. Don't think you're too cool for earplugs. I already feel like I have hearing damage from attending too many concerts. But, you know, you're not necessarily hearing everything. The person writing the soundboard is not a professional. So, you know, they might not be tuning up all the instruments equally. And so getting to hear it was great. And also getting to know the titles of songs. Because I did not know that this song was called Flowering. I just knew it. That song that I like.
Sometimes you hear like a collection of syllables from the stage and you're like, I think that's what that song is called.
Yeah.
In the LimeWire days of like people releasing live bootlegs of bands, that was a huge problem because you would spend weeks thinking the song had one title and then you'd see the track list of the album when you went to go pick it up at Bull Moose or whatever. You'd be like, oh my God, the song I love is not on here.
Yeah.
And it is.
You listen to it.
It has a different title.
Yeah, that's like the old in the, you know, like the original like thrash metal scene in California in the 80s, like when Metallica first came onto the scene, people did not know how to spell Metallica and did not know the names of any of the songs. So it would be like, yeah, you get your tape and it's like track 1, track 2, leather ?
All right, let's talk then about a song that lifts your mood. Try a Little Tenderness, Otis Redding, and specifically the version that he performed at the Monterey Pop Festival, which if you have got Criterion Collection, probably that's on there too. Is Shake on Criterion Channel?
Yes, Shake is on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on Criterion Channel. It's usually actually like in the spotlight of recommendations because on Criterion Channel they'll do, you know, things you can watch that are under 20 minutes or 10 minutes, and usually Shake is on there. They do. Sometimes they'll have the full Monterey Pop Festival on there. I just invested in the full Monterey Pop Festival on Criterion Collection on Blu-ray. Not to flex on y'all, but
no, that's a good flex. It's also on Max, and it's a great documentary. We talked about the Mamas and the Papas in there, like that. They sound so like new.
Yeah,
I was watching it. I was like, this is, you know, I used to go see Tilly in the Wall. And it's like, this is the same thing. Like, this is the same band. Just like, you know, nothing changed over the course of 40 years.
Yeah.
But all right. So talk to me about Otis Redding.
Otis, I love putting on an Otis record, like in the kitchen. I feel like I love Otis's great dance music. And I think part of the reason why the Monterey Pop performance means so much to me and why it does lift my mood. It's very much the like, I'm having a really bad day, I'm gonna go watch Otis perform at Monterey Pop, because it's the first thing he says when he walks out on stage is like, shake, 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 give it to me. Like, he's asking for the energy and he's drenched in sweat by the end of that. And I love that. And he gives you, you know, he demands of his audience what he's going to give, right? Which I always appreciate of like, okay, I'm going to give you the best performance you've ever seen, but you got to give it back to me. But yeah, Otis Redding, I think actually the first time I heard Try a Little Tenderness was, you know, that scene in Pretty in Pink where they're playing, where Iona puts the Otis record on and Ducky comes sliding into the record store and lip syncing to Otis and singing Try a Little Tenderness. And this song specifically, it's a fun song, but it's also like, it's about, hey, be nice to your lady, you know, be nice to your partner, and you know, maybe you'll get some, you know, you'll get something back in return. You'll also get some tenderness back in return. And it just makes me so dang happy. Yeah. Even though it does remind me of the scene in Pretty in Pink where, you know, Ducky says to Andy, says to Molly Ringwald, like, you know, because I would have died for you, and he's going to treat you like garbage and throw you out and whatever. And Blaine, his name is Blaine. That's Major Appliance. That's not a name, you know. They actually, fun fact, a side tangent about Pretty in Pink. I'm so sorry, but this is, I have to talk about it because I'm so passionate about it. This is one of my favorite fun facts, is they did originally, Robert Downey Jr. was going to be Ducky in Pretty in Pink, and then John Hughes fired him because he realized he wanted Andy to end up with the rich guy, to end up with Blaine and not her best friend Ducky. And he said, there's no way the audience is going to root for this rich guy if Robert Downey Jr. is the other option. He's too charming. He's got too much of the goods.
Tough break for John Cryer.
John Cryer, I know, but he's great in that film though.
Tough to hear. You're the less likable Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, she would. I'm sorry, she would never go for you. Yeah,
a person who you it's more believably cucked. That's what when I see you, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Okay, Pretty in Pink, Otis Redding. I don't have a problem admitting that the first time I ever heard Try a Little Tenderness was as a sample in the song Otis from Watch the Throne, which I remember hearing when like Aziz Ansari posted the song early on his Tumblr. This is like most 2009
ancient
story imaginable. I was working at a telephone fundraising place in Boston, and I was like running the like night shift. So I was just sitting in a back office, like watching calls come through, and was just like, checking Tumblr, and that came up, and I distinctly remember playing it for the first time and hearing that song. Watch the Throne. That was, it's tough what's happened, but that was a very important album to me. So anyway, I obviously had heard Otis Redding before, but I sort of took it under real consideration after that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really fun to watch this documentary too, and to see Otis, because I would say that his appearance is very distinct among the rest of that crowd performing. And so there's something very bracing when he's so shiny. His suit is so shiny when he comes on stage, and it's so different.
Mm-hmm.
It all still fits as part of, you understand how all of this is rock and roll, all of these versions of it. But there's just something about his like charisma on stage. And I told you, I felt like it permanently damaged my vision because there's a long shot of him moving out of the way of the spotlight over and over and over again. It almost feels like the camera is almost intimidated by him, that we have to only see him from behind because it's too much to bear to like watch him perform in all of his power, basically.
Yeah. And it's important to mention that when he does perform Try a Little Tenderness, it pans to a bunch of different women in the audience, including
there's like a big montage.
Yeah, including Mama Cass, her head on Michelle Phillips's shoulder, which is very cute. But it's almost like I want to know what he was doing during that.
I know.
He just like he's too powerful. Like you couldn't put him through the audience. But it's like it is fitting for the song. And I also before that song he goes, this one goes out to all the mini skirts, and and then it's all these different women, which I think is really cool because it's capturing the audience, which was a lot of young women, kind of discovering their passions for music at the time, and also he passed away tragically in a plane crash about 6 months after that song, or 6 months after that performance, and so I was watching it on YouTube the other day, and there was a YouTube comment that was like, when he says at the end of Try a Little Tenderness, he says, all right, now y'all, I gotta go, but I don't want to go. And someone was like, oh, dang, like when you think that he died 6 months later,
that's so
just
sad. Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you knew this, but sitting on the dock of the bay, at the end when it's just him whistling, that's because he never got into the studio to finish the song. So they just cut in some like him sound checking, whistling throughout the studio during the recording. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
And it's like one of the greatest, most iconic songs of all time. But it's like when you realize that, it's like, oh, I can't hear that song the same way again. But
it's amazing how much we did get, though. How many recordings we do have of Otis Redding.
Yeah.
That it's like I feel very lucky that we got what we did.
Yeah.
And that's like, all right, at least we got all that stuff, at least that. If anyone out there does like any kind of holiday music playlist, if you don't have the Otis Redding version of Merry Christmas Baby, your playlist is wrong.
It's like, my favorite Christmas song.
Me too.
Yeah.
So, and I really love, I love Sharon Jones's Christmas album too. Local favorite Sharon Jones. Have you ever heard that?
Oh, I didn't know she had a Christmas album.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love her.
So, all right. Oh, also, Otis Redding's dance moves. We have to talk about them for a second. Because I was looking at this and I was like, what are the odds, right, that George Lucas was in the audience and modeled the movements of C-3PO after the way that Otis Redding moves? Because it is very rigid and jangly, and it's like he does the thing where he like locks certain parts of his body.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, now my legs don't move.
Yeah.
But every other, but I'm gonna bobble back and forth.
It's the way that I dance when I'm in a very crowded concert and I'm like, there's a good song coming on. And I'm like, I don't want to hit the person next to me. I'm gonna just bounce my shoulders.
Maybe that is it. Maybe because that stage doesn't look very big.
Yeah. No.
So maybe that's it.
I think he also, and he's, he's constantly walking up and down and kind of getting stopped. Mm-hmm. Maybe he was about to go into the wings and he was like, oh, I gotta move. But he also does the kind of, what's the dance move where you kick your feet back and then you move your arms in interspersed? I
don't know. Is it the mashed potato?
I don't know. He's great. Yeah. And as I said before, when I tell you this man is covered in sweat by the end of this, it's impressive. It's pretty impressive. It's just like you can't watch that without it putting a smile on your face.
It's actually impressive just from a sweating from uniform parts of your body sort of way.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people, they have you see a lot of temple sweat when you see performances, but it's for him, it's all encompassing. Mm-hmm. So that's impressive.
Yeah. I also love watching the musicians behind him trying to keep up. There's a trumpet player directly behind him that I don't know if this is just because this is how trumpet players always look, but he looks like he's about to cry with how fast he needs to keep up.
Yeah. It does feel, at certain points, it feels like it's getting out of control.
He's controlling the tempo. That drummer just has nothing to do with it.
That's Otis Redding. This one goes out to the mini skirts. That's what we're gonna have to call this episode.
This one goes out to the mini skirts.
So let's talk about a song that makes you sad or you use to sustain a sad feeling. I'm interested about your relationship to sad music. Joni Mitchell. Yeah. Last Time I Saw Richard.
Oof. Yeah, a gut punch of a song that follows the biggest gut punch of an album of all time. That's Blue by Joni Mitchell. I don't know. You know what? I was thinking about this. I think the song, the song itself doesn't make me sad, but it does bring on a feeling that is very sad to me because the song is basically about becoming cynical when life and love specifically just kind of wind up screwing you over at the end, and becoming disillusioned. And the last time I saw Richard was Detroit in '68, and he told me all romantics meet the same fate someday. Cynical and drunk and boring someone in some dark cafe. And she ends the song. He's at home in front of the TV, obviously very, disillusioned with his marriage, and she's alone at the bar. And, I think about this song, while I'm sitting alone at the bar with a glass of whiskey in my hand. I'm like, dang it, I lived out the expectations of the song that it's just very cyclical. No, but I don't know, as someone that also considers themselves to be a romantic, the concept of this song is it hits home a lot. And also kind of the idea of this song being about a person in your life that you don't know if it's the last time you're ever going to see them. And that is something that's very terrifying to me because we all have those people in our lives that were fleeting and we didn't realize that they were fleeting at the end. And that's just crazy to think about. And, thinking about how our lives would turn out if we connected with one person over another, or if we maintained a relationship, or if we severed it early on, or, what have you. And it's just generally about fate and, as a big Joni Mitchell head, Michelin man, if you will. It goes along the theme of a lot of Joni Mitchell songs and the theme of Blue in general, which is the fear of losing people in your life. And, the other great Christmas song of all time, River. I made my baby cry. I made my baby say goodbye. But hey, she's skating on that pond, and it's Christmas time, so be happy.
Man, you talk about the what might have been, the past, the connections you lost, and everything. That's heavy. That's the kind of thing that I genuinely have a hard time thinking about sometimes. Yeah. And so are you careful about songs like that, or you just let it rip?
I don't know. Sometimes I'll play Blue because I almost have every Joni Mitchell record on vinyl. Again, not to flex on you, but It's just a fact.
You know what? It's a fair flex.
It's a fair flex. But sometimes I'll have Blue on like in the background and I don't think about it. But like the other day I was in my car and my phone died and I had my CD in. Shout out to CDs. And I was like, oh, I'll put Blue in. And I was like, because it's A Case of You. And then it's The Last Time I Saw Richard. And I found myself sobbing in the car. It's sometimes, I'm able to listen to a song and just kind of turn it off. But sometimes it'll hit.
It's almost like sad songs are like jalapeno peppers or something where like every fifth time you get burned. It gets really bad.
Yeah.
I find that some of the saddest songs that I know I can listen to no problem sometimes. And then every once in a while they just like knock me over.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder too about maybe it's just phases of your life or it's your levels of sensitivity. You know, there are times when you feel more emotionally raw and those are times to probably it would be a time to be more cautious, but I do find that when that kind of thing's happening to me, I end up like kind of pushing it further, you know?
Yeah.
But then I get like, it's funny, like, so I've been listening to, I saw the TV Glow and I really loved it. And I've been listening to the soundtrack and I was like playing it around my children and I was like, I'm giving this playtime in the living room a really weird vibe, you know? And I was like, I can't do this right now. You know, I gotta wait till I'm like alone because it's just affecting me too much.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Well, I don't know. Your kids are going to be into some really weird music, but
yeah. They definitely, well, they will eventually. I try not to like push them in any direction.
Yeah.
And they will come with their own stuff that they've like discovered, you know, and it's music that I wouldn't like normally.
Mm-hmm.
Like they really like Imagine Dragons.
Oh,
but
you're like, I lived through this.
Yeah. But their enthusiasm for it is like infectious where you're like, I don't like this song, but I love how much you like it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's like a lot of my friends that would never listen to Nine Inch Nails are really loved Challengers. And I'm like, did you like the soundtrack? Because let me tell you.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That was I was talking about how much I love Challengers because I just saw it recently. They were like, oh, I didn't really like get it. And I was like, I felt so much regret that I didn't like go see it in IMAX because the speakers are so loud, you know? And they were like, oh, I watched like a cam rip of it anyway. And I was like, this is your problem.
Yeah.
Like you got to go back,
put
on headphones and watch it, you know, in the dark because that's the main selling point.
Yeah. I hate to bring up Tarantino, but like he did not lie when he was like, films were not made to be viewed on an iPhone.
No.
You know, or even at home in your TV. Like, films were made to be viewed in a movie theater. And I completely agree. And I refuse to download the Netflix app no matter how bored I am in a waiting room. Because it's not the same.
I do have Netflix on my phone for when I'm like walking on a treadmill at work, but I'm very selective about what it is. It's like it has to be something that's just not visually
stimulating,
important. Yeah. So like, because just like I haven't watched a TV show like almost in the entire year because I've been like just like on a movie psychotic binge. But I started watching Ripley. And last night I was watching it like on a laptop in the dark, so good conditions, better as good as you can get basically for like watching a TV show. And instantly I was like, oh, this is a only watch under these circumstances show because it's so like visually beautiful. But there's a lot of like, I'll watch like an older movie or something I've seen a lot that's very talky, like The Social Network or something. Mm-hmm. That's a great like treadmill movie.
Oh, yeah. Well, also because they're talking at the pace of a treadmill in that movie.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess any Aaron Sorkin is good on a treadmill.
I wish Steve Jobs was on a streaming service because it's not a good movie, but it's a good script.
Neither of the Steve Jobs movies are good movies.
Yeah. But
at least Steve Jobs is slightly less bad than Jobs.
Yeah. I have said this again in the archives of this podcast, there is a staged reading by high school students of the first scene of Steve Jobs, because there was a bit in an old episode where I was talking to my friend Molly and we were saying that Steve Jobs would be redeemed when it hits the high school drama club circuit. That if you could create a Steve Jobs play
Mm-hmm.
that high school drama clubs could mount, it would be the greatest thing ever. Because basically 3 scenes, and it's very dialogue heavy, and you'd have to clean it up a little bit for high school, but it would work. And so to test the theory, I got these 3 sisters that I know who were in high school to read the script from
God.
Steve Jobs.
That's great.
So. Auditorium. Morning. We're in the middle of a conversation taking place on a stage between Steve Jobs, Joanna Hoffman, and Andy Hertzfeld, all late 20s, early 30s. Andy is explaining a problem to Joanna. Steve seems to not be listening.
The screen says it's an unimplemented trap, but the dialog box is wrong. It's a system error.
When did it happen?
About 10 minutes ago. We've been working on it.
An unimplemented trap?
It's a system error.
So what's the upshot?
It's not gonna say hello.
It absolutely is gonna say hello.
It's nobody's fault. It's a system error.
You built the voice demo.
Look.
Keep your voices down.
The voice demo was flaky. I've been telling you that for... This thing is overbuilt.
It worked last night. It worked the night before that. It worked 3 hours ago.
It's not working now. So let's just skip over the...
Hell no.
Shh. Skip over... Everything else is working. Skip over the voice demo.
We need it to say hello.
You're not hearing me. It's not gonna...
Fix it.
Fix it?
Yeah.
In 40 minutes.
Fix it.
I can't.
Who's the person who can?
I'm the person who can, and I can't.
You have to keep your voices down. Joel Forsheimer is sitting out in the house. I don't care. Who's Joel Forsheimer? A writer for GQ. He's been shouting you for a week. Did you notice? All right. What are your guys saying?
It's some kind of race condition, but we haven't been able to track it down yet.
Is the synthesizer sampling fast enough?
No, so the rates are off and it keeps crashing.
It's 20 seconds out of a 2-hour launch. Why not just cut it? We can't cut it. 2 days ago we were in a Super Bowl and that could have won an Oscar for Best Short Film. There are more people who can tell you about the ad than can tell you who won the game. I understand, but the ad said the Mac was going to save the world. It didn't say it was going to say hello. We're going to open the house in 5. Nope. Don't open the house.
Part of the problem is we can recompile, but if it's a hardware problem, we can't get into the back.
Why not?
You want to tell her, or should I?
Don't start with me, man. Why can't he get into the machine?
You need special tools.
What kind of special tools? Just a screwdriver?
He didn't want users to be able to open it. You need special tools.
Is this for real? There are 100 engineers walking around here. None of them have the tools.
In fairness, not many of them were issued the tools.
What about you?
I left them at the office. It was 3 a.m. and...
Oh my god, just cut the hello. No. What's the first rule of a launch? It can't crash. It's not gonna crash.
It just did.
So fix it.
We're not a pit crew at Daytona. This can't be fixed in seconds.
You didn't have seconds. You had 3 weeks. The universe was created in a third of that time.
Well, someday you'll have to tell us how you did it.
That was amazing. That was awesome. All right, let's talk about a song. Oh, this is when we get to the productive and the creative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So a song that makes you feel productive, Echolalia?
Echolalia? I have no idea, actually. Yeah.
By Faytooth.
Sure, it's a reference to something that I'm completely missing the mark on. By Faytooth, yes. This is a... they call themselves Fairy Doom, but this is a doom metal band that I discovered recently. They're super young. They're like younger than me. And they're one of those bands where they're based in LA and every show they ever do is in California. And I feel like one of those people that'll comment on like, you know, one of those people that'll comment on like,
Brazil.
Come to Brazil. Like, come to Boston, Massachusetts, please. But yeah, but I'll put on I really love doom metal. Kind of my boyfriend was the one that was like, I feel like you'd really like doom metal because I love long, melancholic, sad songs. I love Black Sabbath. I love Master of Reality specifically as an album. And doom, at least recently, is a very female centered, like femme centered genre, which is awesome. And this is definitely like, when I feel like I'm being productive is when I'm like actually able to sit down and accomplish something, because I can easily be productive and do a million things at once. And it's like something that would be productive for me is like, why don't you sit down and do one thing at a time? So I'll put on a record.
Impossible.
Like simply impossible. I will not do it, but I will put on a record like this, like one AirPod in, because I can kind of listen to it in the background. It's a little bit ambient. But yeah, Faytooth, I mean, it's so interesting. I love the vocals. I love the kind of inspiration and influence from like old like like Gregorian chant and like old like Christian like very theocratic music, and obviously like doom metal and overarching sense of doom. It's almost like you feel like there should be lightning bolts going off in the background and thunder. Wait, lightning bolts can't go off. Lightning is visual. Thunder is the noise.
I thought you meant that it conjured in your mind the image of lightning.
Right. Also that's what I meant. That's what I meant. But I'll put on that whole album. The last song in this album is Saturn Devouring His Son. It's like 10 minutes long. It's awesome. But this song specifically really hits.
Honestly, I think if you name a song that, it has to be at least 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like you can't do it if it's not 10
for
minutes.
sure. Yeah.
There are certain times when it's like a long song is called for.
Yeah.
You know, and I enjoy that because that was like, it became kind of a meme thing recently because of MJ Lenderman, and like there's a 10-minute song at the end of that album, and it was like, you know, every guy you know who really likes IPAs is so excited about this 10-minute song, and I was like extremely guilty. Like, I don't mind at all being like seen that way.
That's him, officer.
Like, you see these memes online now about like brewery dads or something, and I'm like, I do feel very seen by this.
Yeah.
I feel mocked, but seen more than I feel mocked.
I see a lot of families at Liar's Bench, and I appreciate it so much.
Yes.
The brewery dad is a real thing, and the brewery mom.
I used to live like maybe 50 feet from where Liar's Bench, like Liar's Bench opened the month I moved away from State Street. And it's like, if I had known, maybe I wouldn't have bought that house.
Do you think Dagan owes you like financial compensation? Be like, you should have notified me of this, and I wouldn't have like given up my lease.
I would have liked a notice about it.
Yeah.
And but honestly, it's probably on me. I bet they probably had signage going up around then. It was like literally is February 2016, and that was like when they opened. And the very first Liar's Bench logo, I still think was like the best. It was like I need to get my hands on like an original Liar's Bench t-shirt.
Which is the Pants on Fire.
It was black, and it was like very bold white text, and I think had like a flame in the middle or something. But I honestly I have a hard time remembering it even. But I should have noticed, and I should have just stopped that process. I mean, not really. I am glad that I was able to purchase a home, at a somewhat dilapidated home, but at a time when probably the only time in my life I'll be able to have ever afforded it.
I'm so jealous right now. I'm shaking.
You know, it may happen again, right?
Who knows?
And I was also like, I have other people I know bought houses in like 2020, and they got off way better, you know, because it was like, interest rates were like nothing.
Yeah.
So that's great. Good for them. They're set for life. I'm not that jealous of them. But yes, sometimes I think, the problem with that, it's like buying a car, right? Buying a car is such an awful process. And you're like, if I had known what this was going to be like by the time I got to the end of buying the car, I would have done it differently. So I'll try to remember that. And then 10 years pass. And then you're like, oh, I forgot. Whatever it was that I knew about buying a car 10 years ago that I was going to do differently this time, I would never have remembered anyway. So that's life.
Yeah. I love you.
Okay, let's talk about a song that makes you feel creative or inspired. Let's talk about St. Vincent.
Circle back to Miss Annie Clark. Yes. Again, like Mass Seduction, the entire album makes me feel creative. Like I was obsessed to a concerning extent with this album in college. I felt like I listened to it like every single day, but it was like, because I love, St. Vincent's discography, like her self-titled album, I feel like everything was kind of building to Mass Seduction, if that makes sense. Because like Marry Me John and
Happy Birthday Johnny.
Happy
Birthday
Johnny is on Mass Seduction. Yeah, Johnny's kind of like a character that like
Prince Johnny is on
self-titled. Yes. But I'm trying to think of but like all of her albums kind of were building up, like they all got weirder and weirder and more electronic, and Los Angeles, girls in cages playing their guitars. I love the line where it's they're like, oh my lord, oh you really did it now.
Very
like
nice.
I'm a monster and you're my sacred cow. I was ooh, that hits.
Oh my lord,
Los Angeles, New York, Savior, Slow Disco, all of it, like so good. But I think it really it's an album that really discusses like the era of the, I don't know, like obviously she talks about technology a lot it's a thread through a lot of her music, but also like Mass Seduction specifically is about like living in the era where everything is, you have to like, everyone's able to like adapt themselves to be like more appealing, and how kind of like terrifying and dystopian and weird that is, but also like kind of cool and interesting. And also it's about, but also it's an album about like another theme, like losing people, and you know, I love slow discos, like, and then slow disco, and then the last three is like smoking. I'm just explaining the album at this point, but it's like the smoking section going into slow disco, going into Dancing with the Ghost is like, I've never heard an album that has like 3 songs that perfectly are just like goodbye, the album is ending now.
Yeah.
Which I just love. And I think like I don't really feel like I have a lot of outlets in my life currently to do stuff that's super creative, but if I do, it's like primarily what I do is like I really just want to get back into like writing about, I used to write for my college's like arts and culture mag, and so like really most of what I do is just writing, and Annie Clark definitely inspires me a lot. And have you seen XX?
Yes.
Yeah. I love that anthology specifically, but I do love that hers is just like the silly, goofy one.
Yes.
It's like the scariest horror anthology all by women. And then Annie Clark's is like, what if like you were at a birthday party and there was a dead body? Wouldn't that be silly and crazy? It's like not what I would expect from her. I thought she would come up with something like monstrative and demonic.
That's true. She definitely did like really zag there.
Yeah.
Okay. So Annie Clark, I feel like we were talking earlier about Daddy's Home and kind of being, I was like, for me, Strange Mercy was like the one that felt like a culmination of something. But I can see now, knowing what we do about what came after, that you're right about Mass Seduction being especially like, it was like her preoccupation with technology, but also all of her like sonic experimentation with technology, because then she like kind of broke right there and switched up completely. Yeah. But I remember seeing her on tour after the self-titled album, and you know, she had like moved all of the guitar pedals and stuff off stage, so she wasn't controlling anything.
Whoa.
And you know, seeing shows in Boston, you're usually seeing either the very beginning or the very end of a tour, just because you're on one coast. So either they start over there and they come over here, or they start here and they go over there. And it was fairly early, I think, in that tour. And it was very funny because someone backstage was like missing cues. And so she would like give this look like every time that there was like a missing thing.
Daggers.
Yeah. And I was like, I can
only imagine.
That's cool. Cause I just enjoyed watching that happen. And you know, you can't even tell like from the audience that like this guitar effect is just slightly, you know, it's not exactly the right one or whatever. Right. But I remember reading an interview with her later where she was like, she did all of that and then took it all back again.
Yeah.
Because if you watch like old performances of Annie Clark in the like Actor or whatever the first album, Marry Me Days were, she was playing by herself, but she had like so many devices on the stage that she was like just constantly trying to like hit pedals and cue things and everything. And I'm like, I can see why that would be frustrating.
Yeah. And I mean, she's a phenomenal guitar player, and like so much of her music is centered around guitar and like warping in the, I mean, Los Angeles is the example I used in like the wow, like that. I can imagine if you didn't have a pedal, or whoever was playing your pedal didn't do the cues right, that wouldn't sound as good. It would sound like, you know, wow, 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 instead of wow.
But talk about an artist who has like a path you can follow with her. It's like, obviously she's such a great guitarist that you almost feel like she resents it.
Yeah.
And so there are these times where she kind of tries to almost reject the idea of like being a guitarist.
Yeah.
And I think people were excited about All Born Screaming because she was like, oh, I'm going to like shred on the guitar again.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah. I think, and I kind of knew that she was doing that when she did they did the Metallica Black Album, anniversary album, and she did Sad But True. And she absolutely murdered that a guitar line. I mean, like just mwah. Like just I love her so much. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, and it's similar to, I mean, people compare her to, I say people, this might just be me, but people compare her to Prince a lot in her guitar playing skills. And it is very similar too, where it's like she is such an amazing guitar player, but she is so focused on her art that it's like, I wish I didn't have to, I wish I could trust anyone else with playing this so I could focus on the performance element of what I do. And she is kind of a performance artist in a lot of ways, but she can't. Like, she's glued to that thing. Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. That's another... When I was thinking about her staring the daggers at someone off stage, I was thinking about the legend of James Brown. He was always pointing when he was dancing, but he would point at musicians, and what he was saying was, "I'm docking your pay because you messed that up."
Yeah.
But Prince is another one who there's all these incredibly famous stories of Prince, like getting extremely mad at sound guys, firing sound guys from the stage, because he would get so particular.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I find that inspiring, because I am also a person who, despite not having a ton of technical knowledge about everything, I can be very persnickety about certain, like the look and feel and sound of certain things that I make. And I often have other people tell me, like, no one can hear that except for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know that. And yet I'm still going to focus on this.
And I'm still going to fire all these people. Zach's actually notorious for firing people. Don't.
Yes. It's that's why I don't have any employees. It's because it's not because they've not trusted me with managerial abilities. It's because
like,
I
when can I fire
everyone.
this person, please?
No one lives up to my standards.
I treat bitches like some shoes I cop about a pair. She like when I...
Let's talk about a song you associate with a good memory. Let's talk about our guy Iggy Pop and The Passenger.
Yeah.
What a great song.
Fantastic song. I imagine I love the relationship between Iggy Pop and Bowie. I mean, talk about some stories, but I love thinking about the conversation between the two of them when, Iggy Pop was like, "Hey, David, like, I want you to be on my next song." And he's like, "Awesome. Like, what is my solo?" And he's like, "La la 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 la." He's like, "You want me, David Bowie, to go la 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 la, anything for you, buddy." Yeah, I think, and it's also great to think about it because you think about these two and their friendship, and I do imagine that Iggy Pop is the passenger, like, in the passenger seat on, because he probably, wasn't able to drive. But this song, it means a lot to me. This is, my boyfriend and I we got back together recently, but we used to date in high school. And the way we met was we used to do theater together, and he's a couple years younger than me. So I used to drive him home from rehearsal, and like, every day, even though like I knew he probably could have gotten a ride from someone else, he would ask me for a ride home, and we just would talk music. And I asked if he was like, "What's your favorite album of all time?" And I was like, "Oh, Lust for Life, Iggy Pop, hands down." Still, yeah, I would say it's still true. Like, yeah, London Calling and Lust for Life. But he was like, "Oh, do you like I love that song, The Passenger." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's kind of like you. You're kind of like my passenger." And yeah, so that's just been kind of our song. And there was a period of time when, because we dated, I went off to college, we broke up, classic, we stayed friends, and he's really the person that, like, the first person I would want to talk to about a movie or a new album coming out or anything really. And like the first person I want to tell everything to, the first person I want to talk to when I get up and when I go to bed. And but we wanted to we were like, let's get matching tattoos. And we were like, oh, what should we get? And we're like, oh, let's get Lines from The Passenger. Let's get Cause All of It Is Yours. Let's get la 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 la. No, we were like, let's get Cause All of It Is Yours and Mine. And like, the lyrics is like, "Cause all of it is yours and mine, and all of it is yours and mine, and all of it is yours and mine." It's just something that two friends would get, just two buddies, two besties,
just two platonic
friends,
shared tattoos,
just sharing, tattoo. Which I'm actually glad we didn't, because matching tattoos are notoriously cursed. you always hear stories of like, I got this tattoo with my best friend, and then like the next week we got in a huge fight and I haven't talked to her since or whatever.
That's worse than my thought was like, we both got tattoos on opposite arms and then we both lost our arms.
Oh no, my brain did not go there. Dang, yeah.
That would be very like, well, maybe
Yeah.
if you lost the opposite arms, then that would be cool because it was like a symbol of your connection. Because
Yeah.
then now together you only,
Yeah.
but
And then you keep the arms up in a case, like in your,
Yeah.
you know, by like your wedding photos. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cute. Oh, that's a Twilight Zone episode right there. You're cooking up something.
hey, you
That's
know
a
what?
good short story.
I'll write copyrighted.
Yeah.
Now. Don't come after me, Rod Sterling.
Yeah.
It's Ghost.
Rod Sterling's ghost.
R.I.P. question mark?
Definitely not still alive.
Okay.
Wait.
You never know.
IMDb in here right now. Lust for Life's a great album. I also think at the time, it was around the time that Lana Del Rey came out with her album called Lust for Life. And I was like, love you, girl, but no, you ain't got it in the same way.
I do think it's fun when like, you know, like the Replacements having an album called Let It Be. Like I like the idea of people releasing albums that have the same name as other albums as kind of a, it's not necessarily meant to be like an insult. It's like kind of an homage, but not quite. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't quite know what to make of like an album.
Yeah.
I'm calling it album Let It Be, but you know.
Yeah.
But I like it.
The White Album. He's been dead since 1975, so I don't think he's going to come for you. But he was born on Christmas Day.
Huh.
Fun fact.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. I feel bad for all of our Christmas birthday people out there.
I know. My second son was born December 19th. And I was like, all right, that's about as close as you can get without it being totally ruined. Because, like, he'll still be in school, still a birthday party at school.
Yeah.
And it's, like, far enough away for a kid. Like, the 5 days before Christmas are really long.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, one of my best friends, his birthday is on December 21st. And so that's, like, it's kind of cutting it close.
Now you're really in the margin, yeah.
But it was nice because when we were all in college and we would all come home for winter breaks, it would be like, we're all there already. So it was kind of nice. Also, it's on the solstice, so that's fun.
Yeah, so that's, all right. So there are ways in which it gets, it all comes back to everybody eventually.
Yeah.
The summer birthday kids get their day, you know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a song that you associate with a bad memory. Our boys, The National.
Our
I
boys.
Should Live in Salt.
Our favorite dads. Yeah.
The saddest dads.
The saddest dads.
Well,
in the
I don't
world.
think they're as sad as they used to be. Now they have all that Taylor Swift money. But.
This is true. Yeah, it's funny too. I was thinking on the way here because I was listening to Trouble Will Find Me, and I was like, yeah, The National's kind of like a trendy band to like these days. I mean, I've been listening to The National for years and years, but because Bryce Dessner's partnered with Taylor Swift and Matt Behringer's done some stuff with Phoebe Bridgers, so I'm happy for them. But
he also turns up on the new Bright Eyes album, and it's like the most stolen valor thing in the world because it just sounds like a National song, you know? And it's like, well, just let him make a National song.
Can't you write it on the wall? You should know me better than that. There's no room to write it all. You should know me better than that.
Yeah, I should live in salt. It's not so much, again, it's like, I can't pin it to a certain bad memory specifically. It's just, it really, this song, Matt Behringer wrote about his brother, who's a few years younger than him, who, while he was having a successful career, he was a roadie on tour with them and felt like it really dismantled their relationship because the living in the shadows of a more successful sibling and the consequences of that, and also just kind of generally the consequences of knowing that you're always going to be tied together but that you're growing apart and that you're implicitly different people. And I don't know, it reminds me a lot of my brother's a huge fan of The National, and I think about him a lot with this song, not only because, you know, he introduced me to it, but it's also like, I feel like he's one of the most important people in my life, and yet I do feel like I I don't know. I have so many things going on, especially right now, and there have been a lot of times where I've had to, I don't know, I've like canceled plans, and I've, you know, just been kind of shitty and selfish, and I always think of, you know, I should live in salt for leaving you behind, and I think about that with a lot of people, and I have a lot of fears and anxieties around fearing that I'm a very selfish person, and fearing that all the people in my life I don't deserve to have in my life, and the constant struggle of being able to maintain all these relationships. And it's hard. Like so many of my best friends in this world live, you know, not super far, but far enough that like I can't see them as often as I used to. One of my best friends lives in Boston, you know, like only an hour away, and yet I can barely find the time to see her, and it just, yeah. So it brings that up, and it's, you know, it's a song about like losing communication, of feeling like you know someone like deep down who they are, but then looking at them and being like, oh, I actually don't know you at all. Yeah. It's a little heavy.
I've always loved this song, and I also can relate to what you're talking about. My brother is also one of the most important people in my life. He's my best friend. And, you know, over the years, we've had these various times where we were living far apart, or, you know, very busy or whatever. And the good news I can tell you is that like it all comes back around, you know, like, and you find these ways to connect and be together, and to sort of strengthen your relationship in ways that you thought maybe you were past the point where you could do that.
Yeah.
There have been a bunch of times where that was the case. And now, even now, like right now, my brother, he just started a job as a teacher. And so he's like very busy, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I am like not nearly as busy as he is, you know? And it's a very funny thing to be like, oh yeah, sometimes I was like this for him. And, you know, probably at more important times, when I was not like available to be around for him, more like formative years. And it's hard, but you have to like, I guess I always feel optimistic about all of my friendships and relationships that I can feel slipping. There were lots of times in my life where I was like, oh, this is like, you know, pandemic, like having the pandemic and having like 2 young children. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to lose touch with all of my friends forever. And it was really hard. But I'm at a point right now in my life where like a lot of that stuff's coming back, and a lot of those people are coming back. And so I am always, that's my thing now. This is my message, right? Is that like, there's always time, and there's always maybe ways you don't expect that the important people in your life are going to find their way back into a place in your life when they're close to you again, you know, instead of not just mentally, but like physically and communication wise. And, you know, it's really great when it happens, because now that you've gone through this period where you don't have it, you appreciate it more when it comes back to you over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I try to remind myself too, like, I don't feel like I'm being, most of the time I'm like, I don't feel like I'm being screwed over if a friend of mine, if I don't hear from them for a while. So now why am I like, it's just you know, it's my brain saying, hey, this person hates you because you haven't sent them a meme in a while.
I can tell you what's into me from my instant chemistry. Is I reflect everything. You ride or you got me. I go to war over you. Walk the fuck about your way. You know what it is. Shouting forever, my little song.
I also have a very hard time saying no to things.
Oh, I totally agree with this.
So I will immediately say yes. Like, let's do this on this date. I'm like, yes, awesome. And then that date comes around. I'm like, ooh, I am really busy. and I can't do that. And then I'm like, oh, but now I have to backtrack. And that's even more shitty than just saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to do this yesterday.
Oh, it's the worst.
I had agreed to do it was all my own fault. I came up with an idea for something I could do for a friend and their event. And I was like, why don't I do this for you?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, great, do that. Awesome. And then I looked at my calendar and I was like, I can't. And so then I had to get in touch, and I was like, I could have just waited to offer.
Yes.
Like I could have waited to offer until I was more confident in my calendar. And instead I didn't. And I did this instead. And, you have to I have to live with the consequences of that, I guess. But yeah, that part never gets better. But
you can try. I can say no. I can learn to say no to things, especially I want to do a lot of things out in the community. And this time of year, there's so much stuff going on, and I want to always be there. In my professional capacity, I want Gather to really be out. I want people that I'm always amazed at the amount of people that don't know about Gather and don't know what we do, and so I want to be out and going and doing things, but I'm only one person, and we, but I have some really wonderful colleagues, and we have a wonderful team of volunteers that are like, hey, Kate, you said you would do this, but you seem like you're really busy right now. Why don't I go do that? Why don't I go talk at the blah, blah, blah? And then you go do that. And it's like, yeah, you can ask for help.
That feels great.
Wait.
Yeah. Wait, you can ask people to do things for you?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about a song that reminds you of a loved one. Dog Years, Maggie Rogers.
Yes.
A person who I feel like arrived on the scene and then just found a kind of it wasn't like a meteoric rise. She just immediately jumped into this spot where it's like, she's known, she's popular enough, she can tour and release music, and she just somehow held that spot.
Yeah.
Really well.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I just feel like Maggie Rogers has always existed.
Yeah, I feel like it's just because she's very authentic. And she's very, I remember when Hurt in a Past Life came out, when people first were hearing about her, were like, oh, she's like a breath of fresh air. And she continues to be a breath of fresh air. It's not like, oh, this is getting stale. Yeah, and also I'm going to see her in 2 weeks, and I think she's now one of my most seen artists, other than some local acts. And I've seen her 6 times at this point. And the demographic is always very mixed bag. It's a lot of hipster indie kids. It's a lot of preppies and normies. It's a lot of moms. It's a lot of seniors. It's everybody's welcome to the party. It's
Big tent.
Big tent. It's a big tent. And everyone's welcome. Yeah, but it's, thinking about seeing her in a couple weeks. And I'm going with 2 of my best friends from college that we've seen her on several tours together. And this song specifically, it's a song that she wrote to her best friend from college about leaving college and the unknowns of oh, this person I've seen every single day for the last 4 years, and they know everything about me, and I can't imagine my life without them. And just, but it's, one of the lines is, we'll be all right in the afterlife. It's not talking about death. It's talking about adulthood. Post-college does feel kind of an afterlife a lot of the time. But yeah, I think about my very good friends, Holly and Anna, that I always see Maggie Rogers with. And Anna was in my a cappella group in college. And also speaking in my a cappella group, this was going to be in my a cappella group in college. Every senior would get to pick a song. They could arrange it themselves, and then they would sing the solo. And this was the song that I picked. And my graduating year in college was 2021. So I never got to sing this song. There's a Zoom version of this song that you can, well, it's not technically Zoom, because if you've ever tried
sync.
You can't, you can't sing multiple, it's hard enough to sync multiple voices. Imagine multiple people singing at the same time. So it was everyone recorded their part and then cut and copied together to look like we were all together. So that was cute. But it was supposed to be a moment. It was supposed to be me in the chapel singing with all the alumni right there, because it's really, for me, this song is about like my kind of found family, which is all the people in my acapella group. And I went to Wheaton College, which is historically women's, went co-ed in the 80s, and then there were two historically women's group, and we were the ones that had the bragging rights to say that we were the oldest by 1 year.
Did it have a goofy name?
The Wheaton Wheatones.
Okay, not too bad.
Not too bad.
Kind of sounds like a ska band, honestly.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The Wheatones, Whims. The all male group was the Gentleman Callers, which is pretty good. Makes me think of Glass Menagerie. Their signature song was Cecilia by Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, that's a good one for a cappella group.
So good, yeah.
Simon and Garfunkel also, speaking of which, there's almost like a Simon and Garfunkel jump scare in the Monterey Pop documentary.
Yes.
Not because you're unhappy to see them, but because it's like all red and black.
Yeah.
And it comes out of nowhere. You're like, oh my God.
You see Art's like curly head.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Which is a little bit of a spooky profile. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's a spooky guy. No offense to Art Garfunkel if he's listening, but
no, I think he knows that about himself.
Yeah.
There was a time where he was like, I'm not gonna be a folk singer anymore. I'm gonna just act in weird movies.
Yeah.
So he knew.
Yeah. He has an interesting career trajectory. I mean, Henry Rollins from Black Flag, for most of the 90s, he would just be in every movie.
Oh yeah, he's in Heat.
Yeah. What? And now he does like spoken word or something?
Yeah, I discovered that like late night on Comedy Central one night, like a Henry Rollins special came on, and I was like, wait a minute, this is the same Henry Rollins?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a career goals type guy, Henry Rollins. Just a modern version of him, honestly, in some ways, is Tunde Adebimpe from TV on the Radio, because, in a great band, has appeared randomly in a few movies. Also used to be an animator for Celebrity Deathmatch. And who knows what will happen next. If he takes over the Tonight Show or something, then it'll all be full circle.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that was his next move.
So we did it. Okay, we made it to the very end. We made a mixtape. It's like an hour and 48 minutes. So this will be, I'll be editing this a little bit, but we'll let it be long. It's cool.
We have the gift of the gab. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So I was prepared for that. So, and I'm already coming up with ways for you to come back. So, so stay tuned.
Okay. Thanks. You can cut out some of those Pretty in Pink references if you want.
No, we need it. We need all of them.
Quintessential to my being.
We need all of those.
Seconds on.